Oh, RaceFix done Mass Effect 3 5 years later. I'm gonna have to
Sorry?
watch that. RaceFix, the guy who does the gaming series after X amount of years later. He's done one for Mass Effect 3. It's been up for about an hour.
Really?
Yeah,
That's...
I'll quickly give you a link to it, mate.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Anyway, I think we're live. I can't really tell. The stream isn't going. Let me just refresh my screen here. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on your page either.
Yeah, not sure what's going on. Huh. Why isn't it going? There we go. Okay, great. Hey, guys. Sorry for the delay. Had some technical difficulties on our sides. But holy crap, has it been a busy week. It's been gangbusters. I mean, there's so many things that we can talk about this week about the smorgasbord. Like, where would we start? I think that the most latest is the most important. I think that the whole spiel about the lead animator being found out on Twitter, and this was being reported by who's that tabloid journalist guy, Ralph?
Oh, from the Ralph Retort, wasn't it?
Whatever. I thought it was the Ralph Report. I don't know. Anyway,
Oh yeah, Retort.
I don't
Yeah.
really care about this fellow. But then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is Polygon, who's just insulting people for even attempting to get pissed off at a product they might be interested in or a franchise they deeply love. And this was a poor girl. Her name was Ali Rose Marie Leost. And we checked out her LinkedIn profile as well as her Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
And it said she's lead animator of Microsoft Andromeda. Now, at first you're thinking, okay, obviously everything is her fault, right? She's in charge of animations, all the facial rigs, all the the timings. She's the one to blame. Well, yes and no. I mean, when you're talking about a production of this size, there's people that tell other people what to do, including leads on projects. So that would be a project manager in charge of this person. And that project manager would also talk to QA people. So there's QA people within their team, and they talk back and say, okay, this is right, this is wrong, fix this, fix that. That must have happened. There's no way this project was done perfectly, or at least functionally fine. And then on top of that, you have like executive producers and shareholders or people in charge of animation that oversee all the other teams. So there's like lead animator for faces, lead animator for combat, and this and that. So yeah, she's definitely the person to look at, but she's not the only cog in the wheel. So it's kind of unfair to put all the blame on her. But still, when you look at her CV, she looks like, how would we describe her? Someone fresh out of college? Is that the best way to?
Yeah, it looks like she's only been her experiences. First of all, it's not game-related experience or anything like that, so she's not knowing with the technology or anything. It's more like it looks like very just like your basic CG work that you do. That's the best way I can really describe it.
Well, when I saw her demo reel, it didn't look bad. It didn't look great. It was like, okay, this is an above average. I'd say an above average animator graduate showing off her demo reel and going, cool, I want to get a job in gaming or animation studios or making cartoons, whatever. Cool. I mean, I have nothing negative to say about her. I have seen a lot of bad demo reels. I have made that. I have made bad demo reels. I have seen over animation. I've seen under animation. I've seen a lot of stuff. So her work wasn't that horrific. So there's really nothing we could point to with her. The fact, though, that she is the lead is what's questioning. It's very questionable, because if you are like 20 something, a young 20 something coming out of college, and we're talking about Vancouver, and that's, I believe it's Sheridan, which is a very well-renowned animation studio. I think that's where she went. If she didn't, then it's like a third party no name college. I don't know why you would do that. You'd go for the best. I think that's where she went. And she got the lead position, which I don't know how that works. Now,
There's a bit of a thing, right? Because she was only on the project for a year. So that needs to be taken into account as well, which could be of just basically like, is the project that bad that EA is basically having to, that the turnover rate's so bad that this position was just simply given to her because she was the only one willing to stick around for more than 3 months?
It's possible. We don't know. She could have been there and then she got promoted because someone else got fed up or fired or whatever. And she was like, don't touch anything. Everything's working. Don't break anything. And that's why she probably wasn't as selective. But again, it comes down to the QA cycle, the project manager okaying everything. And if these guys aren't technical, if they're not artistic, then everything's going to get the green light. The executive producer is going, is everything on time? Are my teams doing their job? And the project manager is the person that executes that job to make sure everything is running on time.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
She's just a symptom of the problem at BioWare, really.
Right. And we're talking about BioWare, where there's 3 main studios, and Montreal is the smallest one, I believe.
Yeah, I was wrong about the Edmonton thing, because from what I'm gathering as well, like people are starting to point out that BioWare's got like multiple teams, and one team is basically just nothing much more made of like fans of Mass Effect. And apparently they've been working, it's all just theory work, so just take my thing with a grain of salt that can induce a heart attack. But just like apparently like those people have been working on Andromeda rather than the typical A team that would normally be working on a project for this size, or that you would assume for this size.
And what we know of Montreal in relation to Mass Effect was the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, which I think we can all say was a fun experience. This is probably one of the main reasons people or the gamers are playing Andromeda is for the multiplayer. They loved Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. And it's strange that we did not get the demo or the beta of multiplayer this time around, but they were saying it's pretty much the same, only a bit more with all the new guns and all the new classes or whatever upgraded classes they have. So I guess that's okay. I don't know. From what I've seen of, again, the video I uploaded, there are some glitches, there are some bugs. There's the legendary problems of someone having a faster connection than you and you're jumping all over the place and nothing works. And yeah, that's going to happen.
Peer, isn't it? So
well, exactly. It's peer to peer, but that's going to happen in any game. That's going to happen in any multiplayer game. You're going to get slowdowns and glitches and stuff like that. It's just really funny when you see someone boosting up like a frozen duck and they can't walk. They can
only do that jetpack hop.
Yeah, it
backwards.
It's hilarious. You just see this stuff and it's like, okay, how do they move now? But yeah, I'm sure we're going to find more glitches. And this probably would have been at least addressed 2 or 3 weeks ago if they released the multiplayer demo. So it's just going to hit them like a truck this week. And it's going to keep hitting them for the next 2 weeks as bugs and other things pop up. Supposedly, this is another news item. I'm not even sure if this is true, but a French person or someone in France who downloaded the game and was playing through the FemRider version. Apparently, the face is slightly different. Now, I don't know if that's an upgrade, if that's something that's part of a profile you could, or the custom loadout you can change. I don't know. I've never played it, so I can't say. But it is different. It does look different. Now, we were arguing whether this is a change for the better or just, is it going to make a difference? I don't know. It looks...
The facial rig, the facial animation rig is still the same. So as long as Sarah doesn't like talk, speak, or move, she's going to be okay.
Oh, geez. I saw a quick... there's a guy in Toronto. He's part of Video Game Sophistry. He does a radio show, and he's been posting a lot of his clips. That's where I got a lot of my clips from. And he showed the romance conversations between Suvi and female Rider. It was like listening to 14-year-old adolescent girls. It was so like these are supposed to be 25, 24-year-old real girls. Yes, they're awkward, but they're just stupidly like I like you, but then there's also the accent. It's just come on.
This is not Garrus popping the heatsink at the last. It's not that level of awkward. That was subtle, in a kind of cute way. That between Garrus and Femsheb, that's probably one of the cutest things. But like this is just like, get a cheese grater to my face and just awkwardness. Just keep rubbing it,
Even the pilot was like, "Oh, just kill me now." This is so bad.
The game's become self-aware.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the writer was like, is this corny enough? Should we push it even further? It's like, no, you've gone too far.
Well, yeah, because people always say that, obviously the animation, because obviously people, that's another thing as well that I kind of was pointing out, was that it's not just the facial rig, it's the lack of body movement. Like everyone's just like rigid, held in place. There's no gesturing, arm movement, shoulder movement, subtlety of the facial, the head moving or anything like that. Everything's just stiff.
Right.
And then people kind of go, well, it's not just about the facial animation. It's like, okay, what about the story then? Well, the story from the first 10 hours looks, it's a complete shite. Everything is just contrived and the bum, and everyone's personality is going from like normal placid to like utterly completely psychotic. It's like everyone's got bipolar syndrome or something. Really weird.
Well, you're right about the animation. If you don't have proper movement of the upper body, it's not just all in the eye. The eyes are obviously the most important, but it's when you're having a conversation, you're looking at someone, you're trying to convey an emotion with more than just your words. You're using body language. That's totally normal. And if you look at like a robot like the Suvi person, who is awkward, she is awkward, but she's not like Tali awkward. She's not like Liara awkward in the first game.
Yeah.
She is just a robot. She is just stiff. Right. It's very jarring. And to forget this is like, how could you go through these steps of missing it? The other thing I didn't talk about last week when I was on a live stream previously was the reason why you use attractive models in games. There is something lost when you go from someone with the chiseled cheekbones and the eyes to 3D. And it's the same whether it's now or 10 years ago. And if you look at those models from Mass Effect, you've got 3 models at least, or 4 models at least, for the main character, the main companions, as well as Shepard in the first game. So you have a male model for Shepard, a male model for Kaidan, female model for Liara, female model for what's her face, Ashley. So, and then you see the comparison that X Latalis showed, where they show Ashley, and then they show that whatever the hell her the other lady's name is in Andromeda.
My face is tired lady.
Yeah, my face is tired lady.
We'll get onto that in a moment. Yeah, carry on.
And you see the little subtleties of Ashley's eyebrows and her cheeks and her mouth and her neck and her chin and her shoulders. It's all conveying a story. She's all talking to you, and she's sensitive. She's talking about her family. She's talking about aliens. She's talking about the mission. Everything's very personal and sensitive and intricate. That's what you want. That's what you're expecting. And you can only do that. You can only achieve that if you have someone who's focusing on that one rig and making things look good and agonizing over it every day. Did I do this right? Did I do too much? Let me get someone else's opinion, and over and over again. And you can't really do that in Andromeda. You can't, if you have dozens, it was like over 1,000 voiced NPCs or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they've said that if you combine, it's more than Mass Effect 2 and 3's VAs altogether, which is just a ridiculous amount. That's why.
Yeah, so you have this ridiculous amount of characters or actors, and then you have to model all that by hand, animate that by hand. That is a 5-year job, but it took 5 years. So we're kind of curious what the hell happened. Now, obviously, you could say, well, it was too bloated. They tried to do what maybe The Witcher 3 did with making an algorithm so they don't have to code everything. And well, that didn't work. Obviously, if they tried to do that, it didn't happen properly.
That's another thing, though, because when people looked at how DICE did their facial animation stuff, and they showed the technology, the ant system and all that, I'm not really that well knowledge into that because it's not my thing. But they were like, "This is what we used, and it's clearly the same engine." This was like in Battlefield 3 days. Okay. So the technology is available to BioWare. It's clearly available. It has been available for blinking years. And obviously this must have been used in Inquisition, which looks, I can't believe I'm actually going to be saying this, but that looks leagues ahead of Andromeda. Just in levels of polish. I'm praising Inquisition here. What's going on? It's like we've entered into the Fade or something.
Well, the other thing about Inquisition, which is arguably better, was the character creation. You actually got different species, different tattoos. I swear the tattoos in Andromeda, I don't know why they even bothered to have. Was it some sort of scale, like a lizard scale on your cheeks? Who the hell do you know would put lizard scales on their cheeks. Is this a new thing? Is this a fad? I've never heard of this.
I'm sure the military would love tattoos on your face. Like, like that is that a new thing? Is that happens when you're going out of the alliance or something? Like
Maybe it's like a non-permanent thing in the future. You could just put tattoos on, no problem. But as far as
like a
I
face
know,
mask.
well, like a sheath or a clothing sheath you put on your arms. It's like, oh, it's fake tattoo. Maybe, but maybe in the future it's like, okay, it's not a big deal. You can always remove it with technology. Day printing, maybe it's like an Omni tool print. You just like scan your face and print it off.
That's something as well. The Omni tools have changed. I just realized because before it had that kind of like glow around your fingers as well. So as if like, your left arm can do something with the fingers. And then
Yeah, it
now
looked
it's
like a
just like,
gauntlet.
yeah. And then the other ones is like, no, it's just there, just on your arm. It's just like a data pad. And like, no, you need your finger gestures on your left hand to do the subtlety in the. It's like, why do they keep changing things? This is supposed to be like, was this like El Budgeto on the Omni thing?
I think they tried too much with the Omni tool, because if you're going back to Mass Effect 2, everyone was using, well, there's a variety of, actually, depending on whether you're Quarian or what have you, but yeah, it was pretty much the standard gauntlet thing pops up on your arm. You have this, you could have this little circular pad where you might be typing with your left hand or your right hand, whatever's lit up. I remember Malin had two. He was like moving stuff around on a big screen in Morden's loyalty mission. So yeah, it's kind of the do all everything, a holographic emitter projector thing. And now it looks like it's I'm not sure what that thing is. It looks like a typewriter that's broken on your arm there.
Holographic PDA, isn't it?
I don't know. It's strange. And then of course you have to scan, not by pointing your arm at something, but by putting it parallel. And then this little
with your forearm, and you're just like, this is, if you actually hold out your arm like that, that's really uncomfortable.
It's strange. I don't know, like, why wouldn't you have, like, a device that just points right in front of you? A tricorder, yes, an actual device that would,
yeah, and then it just syncs up with your Omni tool, and then your Omni tool kind of goes, yeah, so you pull out, just have your Omni tool, just kind of hold it out, and you kind of go, yeah, there's your scanning. You don't have to do the whole like, hang on, I'm just going to awkwardly jut out my arm, and oh god lord, that's going to really, that's pulling a shoulder muscle, that is, if you're doing that for any length of time.
Right. The closest thing it reminds me of is Metroid Prime, but that was built into your visor, so everything you saw was through your visor anyway. And then you would just hold down the left bumper or whatever it was at the time on the I think it was a GameCube, and you would start scanning there's so many things you could scan, but that was the primary storytelling method of getting lore and information out of your physical environment. And I think I made a joke about that in the first official gameplay trailer, with just a bunch of platforms that you're jumping on. The guy scanned a plant or whatever. I think, oh, this is pretty much Metroid Prime, which is awesome, but not if that's all you're doing. And we saw, you showed me a link to a player who could not get past a certain point, so he had to restart his game because for some reason he couldn't scan anything.
Yeah, his save was like overlapped on the starting, so you had like people who were like, everything's supposed to be floating around, but then people were just like stuck in place, and had like object, like the physics of the game just broke.
Was that? Do you have the link? I'd like to put that in the chat just to see how.
Yeah, I just have to get it from Skype. 1 second.
Yeah, and just copy and paste in the chat. This is the funniest thing in terms of how broken Andromeda is. It was like, okay, you say, this animation could be broken. You might come across this. This is from start to finish. The guy could not get past the point where you have to scan that outside the med bay. There's that power conduit thing that you have to scan. I mean, everything leading up to that was broken. It was absolutely hilarious. Like, you'd be sitting there going, how could anyone have done this? How could this have happened? And the only argument I could think of is that the saved game or the previous playthrough was somehow stored in memory and accessed at the same time as his current playthrough. So when the scene where everyone loses gravity and there's the doctor and Ryder up in the air, well, there's people just walking around and standing on or sitting on the beds, and they're just like, nothing's big, no big deal, nothing's happening. And then the gravity comes back and things are still floating in the air. It was just absolutely strange and bizarre, and I don't know what was going on. Let's see if I can get that link for you.
Yeah, it's not letting me post it in the chat there, but I gave the title out called The Andromeda Experience.
Okay, I think I found it. Yeah, this is it. I'm just going to put in the link for you guys. Everyone, check this out later. You're going to just be laughing your ass off. I could just make a copy of that and say, look, guys, this is what you're going to get into.
Behold, Mass Effect Andromeda. We've spent 5 years on this game. It's like, I think you need to get a refund on the people who worked on that.
Well, the other popular opinion by people who actually love the game, this is fine. You can love the game. We're not against this. If you find joy in anything in life, more power to you. I hope it works. People are saying it gets better over time. And there are some good choices. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. There are some great choices you can make. You learn more about SAM and what that means. You learn more about the Andromeda Initiative and how that works. You learn more about the Reapers and why that was a sort of afterthought, but it was still part of the story. So there are things that do happen, and the flaws are they're dispersed. They're still there, but they're just you've got a big ass story to go through, all these levels to go through. So yeah, obviously it's going to have a less impact. You're going to have at least some fun. So yeah, there is that side of things that if you do want to play the single player, you have these options. However, there are some hardcore players who actually enjoy third-person shooters or first-person shooters, whatever they are, who don't know much about Mass Effect, and they got a demo copy, or they tried the 7 or 8 or the 10-hour, I think it was 10-hour trial.
10 hours early access.
And they were arguing about the simplest things, like throwing a grenade. You cannot throw a grenade with skill. You can't hold down the button for further distance like you would in, let's say, Gears of War or other popular games. You just tap it, and off it goes. Now, the grenades are, I think, powered by some sort of gear. I don't know exactly what it was called. I think it's it's some whatever power cells that you can walk into, and it's that generic station. You just walk in, you get all your equipment back.
Omni grenades.
Yeah, Omni grenades. That's one of them. Yeah, and you hold like R1 on the PS4 or right bumper on the Xbox One controller. But you have to power up your skill, so that's like the RPG mechanic there. Oh, power cells. That's probably what they are. So, yeah, it's just it's one of those things that there's no skill involved. There's just press button to do it. The other thing people were complaining about, these are hardcore shooter guys. Auto cover. You just snap into it as opposed to pressing a button or space bar or whatever it was in the trilogy. There's no kneel option. You can't go prone, for example. So they still haven't brought that back from the first game.
Yeah.
Which is like, why? It sort of defeats the purpose of being a sniper and being out in the open. But as soon as you go into a chest high wall, boom, the game will make you go into cover, and you will actually use your knees. So it does tell you, oh, by the way, you have these things called legs, and you can use them to hide when people are shooting at your head. And you can do that only when you have a physical object in front of you. So that's one thing other hardcore players were complaining about.
Well, yeah, because from a game design perspective, it's like they really want this kind of fast and fluid gameplay with the jetpack and whatnot, but then they want it to turn into a cover shoot. It's like, no, get rid of the cover mechanics altogether, just have a crouch function, and then you don't need the cover system. You can just go, no, deal with that, it's gone.
I don't see why they couldn't do both. There was nothing stopping them. If they want to have this dynamic, fun, and fast, fluid jumping and jetting around, great. How about the fact that I still have kneecaps that work? What if you had an injury in the game where you had to like hit yourself with Omnigel because you got shot in the leg so many times you have to crawl?
Those are the days when we used
that would have been interesting. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying this is something that
that's very Deus Ex, isn't it?
Well, think about it. In the game, like this is the first mission. Everyone gets stranded on a planet, and there's a guy who dies, and there's a guy who gets shot in the leg or whatever. He can't work. His legs don't work. When like 20 meters away from him, there's a health pack that you can walk up to and replenish yourself. So this is a problem of gameplay story segregation and cutscene power to the max, where it's like, okay, why does this guy have an injury I can't heal, all because he fell out of a shuttle? And keep in mind, when we say fell out of a shuttle, he just crash landed with the shuttle. We fell out of the freaking sky, hit terminal velocity, our jetpacks, our jump jet, whatever the thing, wasn't working. And then all of a sudden it is working. And then we smashed into the ground. Whereas Liam, he should have died. He should have died. He fell right out of that damn thing, got sucked out, and somehow he's fine.
Well, he like just arrives beside you and just like, dude, you fell up before me 20 seconds ago, and we were flying at like 600 miles per hour in the opposite direction. You should be somewhere over there, like way, way over there. Like, and but yeah, when you get into things like the whole story and segregation thing, I remember when I played Neverwinter Nights 2, and you could actually when your village, in the prologue, when your village comes under attack, and if you were, I think it was a paladin, you could use lay on hands to cure people to help you in the fight, or you could go to the healer, and he would then give you these items that would then heal these people. And it's like, that is a good way of like kind of going, okay, mustering up the militia to help you fight. But this one is just like, now I know there's a health pack over there, and no one carries Medijob. No one carries a first aid kit with them in this game. And I'm like, when you first do that boarding thing, it's like, oh, we need to bring a medic and whatnot. It's like, this should be standard protocol. You should have a medic in every group. Everyone should be medically trained. This is beyond stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but other gameplay elements which are very curious are, you still can't equip gear and armor on your companions.
Yeah,
which makes the whole upgrading system limited to you. So you could tell them where to go, but after that, they just walk off on their own. They walk into enemy fire. They forget the cover system. Cora is just launching herself at everything. It doesn't matter if you tell her to go here or there. She's going to keep charging.
Oh, don't worry. She can deflect lightning with her biotic barrier.
Oh yeah, the little cutscene where she's fighting the planet. The danger of electricity.
Take that, Thor. Does biotics actually protect against lightning? No. Shut up. Shut up. Don't mention it. I mean, that could have been another interesting thing as well between story to gameplay ideas. Like, let's say you set up on the shuttle, then you kind of go, oh, lightning everywhere. Let's make a lightning rod. So that would deflect and help the people defend, and therefore that would then save those two people.
Well, if there's electricity hazard you have to walk through, and Cora can deflect electricity, but you can't. I'm thinking, why is this happening? Why can't I'm a biotic? I can do freaking. She can just walk. Yeah, I'll just make a bubble and just pop, no problem. And the line after the fact, I didn't know you were biotic. Don't worry, it's not contagious. Like,
that's another thing as well. It's like these people just met for the first time. It's like, what was the Andromeda Initiative? Just like, yeah, it's like Noah's Ark. Yeah, we come in. Yeah, biotics come in 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah.
We never met the time before. We never got to. We're going to be on the same team in 600 years. I guess I won't read up anything about you.
We're not going to work together to make sure that we're going to be okay working together and whatnot. No. Don't worry. We're absolutely fine. Like, this is like, the whole attitude should have been you being brought up and then finding out that your father has gone missing on that planet, and then you investigating, like, the Pathfinder has gone missing on this planet that's supposed to be Habitat 7. We're reviving you out because you're the pararescue group or something like that, however, what kind of terminology you want to use. But geez, like, the very fact that you come along with your dad is like, hello, nepotism.
Yeah, I wonder why this happened. But then you have to think about the attack angle that the shuttles were going on. And they're like, oh my God, there are floating mountains. Maybe we should slow down and go around them.
There's actually a bit of a slip up. It's only a minor one, but it's something I have to point out in the sense of, like, they said that they can't make any accurate scans of the planet, and yet when they're going down there, they say, oh, we're heading towards the LZ. And it's like, okay, so you got a landing zone that's predetermined. So that means you have scanned the planet because there's a designated landing zone. So is this just an aerial reconnaissance? What's going on here?
And why couldn't they simply change? Oh, this is too dangerous. We should fly away from the giant lightning elemental mountain things that are floating in our way. Like, why would you want to fly through a mountain? It doesn't, and with lightning bolts connecting and there's cloud cover, it's like, yeah, this is not safe on an alien world we've never been to before. Yeah, we're just going to keep going at like whatever, 10,000 miles per hour, entering the atmosphere, slowing down. It's like, you have control. You can now move your shuttle. Stop, hover, take some pictures, do some scans, enjoy the scenery. Try not to get
out a couple of probes.
Probes would be perfect. Yeah. Like it's a
That's
beautiful scene. It's a beautiful scene where you walking, you're standing there, and no one's sitting down. No one's like, there's no seat belts. There's no like, strap yourself in. No, it's just
yeah.
everyone just hang out, looking out the window. La 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 la. Looks great. Completely impractical. Like this is not
Yeah.
standard by anyone's definition of hey, we're going to enter a planet. Can you guys just
Well,
chill in the back, just whatever?
again, that could have been interesting. Like, imagine, let's say you got Ryder with a data pad, but they're actually looking, let's say, for like a camera feed that's like mounted underneath the hull of the shuttle, and you're actually looking around. You're actually kind of going like, obviously you have little trigger points that kind of go, what is that? And you can coerce where you can have a conversation with Liam or the pilot or whoever. Something like that, a little bit more interactivity rather than just, oh, there's that big space cloud that we somehow managed to miss. And the mountains are floating. It's like, okay. Obviously we've entered in some kind of metal rock back cover or something like that.
Well, the whole talk of biotics is actually interesting because I was looking at the lore that the Codex has been filling in as people have been playing the game, and we discover that Alec Ryder was born. I'm going to try and explain how Alec got his biotics because he was one of the first guys, the pioneers who went through the Charon relay when it was turned on. But according to the Codex, as we've learned for the old trilogy, is biotics first surfaced in 2150. Alec was born in 2129. Okay, in order to become a biotic, you have to be exposed to EZO in utero, meaning while you're gestating within the womb. To compare that, Shepard was born in 2154. So that's 4 years after they discovered that human biotics are a thing. And then in 2168, this is 14 years later, he was exposed to element 0 a second time, and that's when it's confirmed that Shepard has permanent biotic inclination. So the only explanation we have for Alec Ryder being a biotic, and he's a superhuman, he can do anything, is the SAM chip or the SAM interface, whatever the hell that thing is. So it turns you into this, I don't know, you can somehow get your biotic.
Assuming direct control.
I put an AI in your
That's what
brain.
it is.
You can do anything. I don't get it. It's like let's change the lore of, let's change the physics of how this universe works because we need Alec Ryder to be a biotic for some reason. And it's like, okay, let's give him an AI, but it's illegal. But don't tell anyone. But okay. Then there's some lore or spoilers I'm not going to talk about, but it just becomes a contrived story of, okay, how far are you going to stretch this contrivance? You're going to go all the way? All right, let's see how it goes.
The thing about when I was now with the Hyperion, and I was honestly thinking, I was like, okay, so we're heading towards the Golden World. How come the Hyperion doesn't have like a Tempest class vessel on it for like preliminary scouting? But that's all on the Nexus, and then the Nexus is sorry.
They do have shuttles. We know that.
Yeah, but it's like if you wanted like a wide range of suite, if let's say, you want something that can go beyond the capacity, a kind of like a captain's yacht or whatever you want to call it. But
right.
I was expecting the Tempest to be on the Hyperion, but then since they put it on the Nexus, and I was just really confused. It's like, so we're running out of power. You've got no food. You've got no resources. If only you had some kind of spaceship and driving vehicle capable of scanning and mining resources. But, we can't seem to have it. It's lost on us. Like, it's right there in front of them. There was no need for to be all fair and honest, the whole thing should have been started with you on the Nexus, because there's a lot more interesting things happening on the Nexus than there is on the Smegging Hyperion.
Well, what we learn is through some logs that there was going to be a fifth ARC ship.
Yes,
and that was going to be a conglomerate of the Quarians, the Krogans, all the other minor species in the Andromeda or in the Milky Way galaxy, and they were having problems getting ready. And I don't know what that means, because if you say we're going to go to the Andromeda galaxy, you have a plan and you have goals you have to meet. And if you don't meet those goals, then you drop them. So apparently these guys were not quite ready to go, which means the ship was actually built, but they didn't figure out all the dynamics of freezing people on one ship, which makes absolutely no sense considering you have a goddamn space station which has already solved that problem. And for some reason, they didn't want to share that on the same team. They didn't want to share. It's like, no, 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 no. This is totally our thing. You got to figure it out yourself this time. You can't use our technology here. And we're talking about the Quarians, who they will do anything for a new home world. And this is like their golden opportunity. And they just don't work. It's just, no, you can't come. We're sorry.
The Koreans would have actually been the people to go to in terms of like long-term space travel, and you're just like, you people are just like, you morons.
If you need a problem with containment, you talk to the Koreans. They lived their entire existence for hundreds of years or thousands of years in suits. I think they can figure out the rest. The second part, they live their entire life on ships. It's like, these guys are perfect. Get them on the team. Have them figure stuff out. No, 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 no. We can't do that. We're building this giant space station. It's not ready, though. It's going to take more time. But we can launch, like, right now, and they can figure out their own problems later. Okay.
There's the bit with the because the other thing as well is that actually I'm not going to say that, but that's actually a bit spoilerish. But
right.
I when I heard that bit where one of the directors, freaking Botox woman, as you could really call her, and the bit where she goes, to whom? It's like, oh God, Lord, they've hired the grammar Nazis in here. But I honestly, when I heard that bit where she goes, my face is tired, I had to pause the video and was just sat there for 5 minutes trying to analyze that one bit, going, my face is tired. My face.
Was she crying? Was she like so emotionally disturbed that she couldn't express herself anymore? She was.
It's like, you're not mentally exhausted. You're not at your wit's end. You're not utterly completely knackered. Your face is tired. Your body's absolutely fine. Just your face, not your brain. You're fine. You're not on like stims or anything. Obviously, you're on something because Jesus. But that's what I just don't understand about it. Is that my face is Someone sat there and went, "Yeah, job's done." Someone wrote that line. And even some of like the dialogue lines and some of the options, like people always talk about, in the dubs, like, oh, Paragon and Renegade is so binary. And you kind of go, yeah, it is. It is a binary thing. But then it's like, how many options do you actually get given through most conversations? Oh, 2.
Well, there's 2 things I want to say. The first thing is that if you look at systems that have done the styles of conversation right, you look at Alpha Protocol, because that was the style of a spy. What does a spy do? Is he suave? Is he professional? Is he aggressive? This is what a spy can be. You can be this flavor of James Bond. You could be this flavor of Jason Bourne. You could be this flavor of whatever. That's a thing that's understood, and it works within the context. In this context, we're a blank slate. We're not anyone special. We're not what the hell's a Pathfinder? He's a guy who gets on a spaceship. Okay, are you being cool? Are you being suave? You can be, but why? So there's really no context to put those lines of dialogue, because when we say lines of dialogue, we actually mean a few words which then imply whatever he might say. We don't know. So that's a problem with that sort of dialogue system. But if you don't have a context, you get ridiculous outbursts that like Sarah flirting with Suvi because it's like, oh, she's going to be stupid. Well, Suvi's stupid, so that'll work. Okay, great. Okay, you're a bunch of adolescent twits. Is this what you want in charge of everything? I don't think so. You want someone who knows what the hell they're doing, but they clearly don't. And this whole speech about finding a Pathfinder to do the job is like, it makes no sense. Cora just gives up her position. She's like, oh, I totally agree with whatever your dad wanted. It's like, why? What possible faith do you have in these kids you just met? And everyone just goes along with it. There's not enough explanation as to why this pathfinding AI thing in your head is important. There's no focus that says, oh, you're going to be a lot better than this seasoned military guy, we like the 10,000 seasoned military guys we have in cryo. who we could have opened up this entire year and put on the Tempest while you were in cryo, or while you were on the Ark ship. So it's just the setup is not making sense. The second thing I wanted to say in regards to that character is there's a choice that happens on the first, I think it's this, yeah, the first desert planet. I don't know what the name is, like Eos or what have you. And it's the choice to make a forward station. And the choice is the forward station going to be military or is it going to be science? And I'm thinking, you're making a base of operations. You can do a whole bunch of things. Why would you, like, are you limited by resources? Are you limited by space? Are you personnel? Obviously not. So this choice is very minor, if not moot, to make this thing. It's like, oh, wow, you've done the science job. And then what ends up happening is that administrator chick comes down with that black guy we saw in the exploration chamber where you shake his hand. So I should call you the mayor. I should give you some keys, but it's just, and then like a fade to black, and all of a sudden there's all these buildings everywhere. It's just instant build. It is bizarre. It is strange. There's so many things I can analyze in those two scenes, but it's as if they don't want to put any detail in anything. They say, oh, you want to build a forward station? Done. Here's an outpost? Done. Let's just keep going so you can keep exploring. I would like to see some detail. I would like to see what the heck that choice means. Why is it so important? Why did you give us the binary option of a base of operations which focuses or is only military or only science? It makes, within the context of survival, you want a base that does everything. You want a base to medical supply. You want a place to sleep. You want a place to survive. You want a place to build. You want everything. You don't just want a military base. You don't just want, and a military base is not just military. So why would you limit it's just a strange choice you make on these side missions or whatever you call the optional missions in the game are. All right, let's see. I'm going to go to comments here. Let's see what you guys are talking about. What do we have going here? Did I lose my cohort here? Is he gone? I think he's gone. Anyway, let me check out some of your comments, guys. Do you have any questions for me or the stream or anything you'd like to ask? I know I've been really busy with trying to catch up because I have like 4 or 5 different kinds of videos I want to make. And I apologize if all of them have been purely about Mass Effect Andromeda. I realize it's a popular thing right now, and I've been trying to keep up with the Reddit posts, the YouTube stuff. No, I will not pirate the game. I will not play the game. Please, no one gift me the game. I do not want to play the game. I'm not interested. I can watch it on YouTube. I'll watch Exlatalis's trailers or walkthroughs. He's a very good streamer, very good YouTuber. I'll watch his stuff. If you want, I'll do analysis, but other than that, I'm not interested. Well, they're a big company. BioWare is big. I'm sure they can. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know he was on the stream either, Exlatalis, or in the chat. I don't know. They have a new IP coming, but it's not an RPG. So I think BioWare is officially gone. If they're not pumping out RPGs, then no. I don't think they're going to come back.
Oh, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, we're just taking questions right now. What do you think about people's being upset that Cora isn't bisexual? I don't really give a crap. I do not give a crap about who's doing what with who. Actually, you know what? You know what really pisses me off? And this, I just thought about this. If you're going on a mission to start a colony anywhere, you do not take homosexuals with you. No offense to homosexuals. They can come. They can come. They can come along.
Sorry, you really set yourself up for that one.
Yes, I did. I apologize. They can come along, but they're useless. They will have less priority or less importance than a plan to reproduce. It's that simple. If they are taking orphans, or they're taking a big genetic I don't know, birthing chamber or something like that.
Yeah. If they want to do some kind of okay, lesbians want something like that, and then they kind of go, okay, but here's some sperm. from the guys or whatever, and they kind of go,
Right.
yeah, there you go.
Right. I'm not like, this is not a sexist or sexual thing. I'm just saying it seems very impractical unless there's a plan for that. There's actually some romance. I was trying to get as much information I can about the game, and people were obviously the big topics are the romance things. There's conversations between the male engineer who's homosexual. He's good at playing poker or whatever, and he was making plans to adopt or get a young child because he wants a family. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of cute. But again, it's like, well, you're making the job very difficult if you really just want a kid. It's sort of backwards. But hey, more power to people who can do that. I would think though that a plan to seed new life literally in another part of the galaxy or a different galaxy would look for people who actually want to do that, as opposed to shipping infants in cryo or shipping in vitro technology. It's a little different. I think it's a little strange. Anyway, it's not a big deal. It's just one of those things that irked me.
I just loved it when they talk about, was it Trace's character being gay? And it's like, I don't care. But then when Cora's character's straight, it's just like, just because she looks like a lesbian doesn't mean that she is going to be one. Hang on a minute, isn't that I don't know, labeling?
Well, I still can't believe they don't understand the haircut she has. It's a mohawk that isn't gelled. That's all it is. It's a mohawk that's off to the side. She has it's like a tie back undercut. The bottom of your head is shaved. The top is kept long. That's all it is.
Yeah, because you could actually style it back, and she could. I thought that she was just trying to mimic Asari culture, and that's just what it looks like unstyled.
Oh, really?
Like if you actually put her hair back, you could actually do it in the kind of the tendril. That'd be interesting.
That's an interesting observation. I didn't think about her trying to fit in. Yeah.
Yeah, because she was part of the Huntress team. I was just like, yeah, that'd actually be a rather interesting quirk for her.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. I mean, again, people were saying, why didn't you put in the Cora walk? And I was like, well, maybe that's her character. I don't know. Maybe she walks like that all the time. I have no idea. It does look funny, but it wasn't like a glaring flaw, right? It was just like, okay, she swings her arms a little bit.
No, one of the directors being poofed into the shadow realm was more funny. Like you see her walking, and then she walks behind the Krogan, and then she's gone. Snap of a finger, she just disappears. There's no her walking off camera and then popping out of existence.
Yeah,
that's as if like the Krogan just goes like.
Yeah, it's very strange to see these. Well, there's pop-ins all over the place. Entering a room, there's no characters. All of a sudden, poof, they're there. There's clipping of all kinds, and that's to be expected. You're in a big game like this, you're going to get a lot of pop-ins and clips. And I'm not. It's like whoop-de-doo. That's not a huge glitch. It's not going to make me think this is a bad game. But you still have to say, does it have to be this big? Did they have to make it that big, knowing that these things were going to happen? Like that one animation of that woman walking the moonwalk forward was absolutely bizarre. I'm just like, you walk with your toes and then you slide them inward. How did you, like, walk cycles are one of the first things you learn if you take animation courses for bipeds. And it's just, I mean, you can't screw that up. Yeah. Apparently you can.
Well, yeah, it's like the people who are doing the combat animations, like, the running and all the things that you'd be doing in the open world stuff, but the people doing the cutscenes, it was like two different teams. There was no crossover between, they were just divorced completely. And you have to wonder, like, what happened to the cinematics people? The people who would be working on the cutscenes and the dialogue scenes. Whatever happened to them? Because to be fair to Mass Effect 2, he did actually have a lot more improvements. In cinematic direction, albeit a lot more with the ass shot than should really be notified. But it's like, what happened to that guy? You see the guy with a little mustache and has the frilly hair. It's like, what happened to him? What happened to that team? Everyone's just off, and it's and then
I'm not going to preface every single question I ask with "That's a good question," like Mac Walters. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I think Cinnamon Coppa made a good question about what kind of idiot made the plan for the initiative, how this thing should even work. Wait, that's not the right question. I'm sorry. I was just reading the one above it. Can you where is it? Yeah, we're talking about the SAM node. Everyone else is connected to this thing, but for some special reason, we have the magical neurological brain damage that causes us to become Superman. So I don't know why, and unless the trailer was wrong, how it's like that. It's not like how Metal Gear Solid 4 was. How there's those special group of people that they could see what everyone else sees. I don't even know how the hell that even works. But if you have all this same sensory input or biometrics or other things to maintain your health and what have you, that's biologically changing. Like that would be a big upgrade. If I had an AI assistant on my physiology telling me what's what and what I can do to improve, then already I'm getting better. So why didn't the Pathfinder program or whatever AI crap work with everyone else? We don't know.
Sorry, just something that funny popped into me, 'cause they're going to have romance scenes in this, and I just imagine like Sam like kind of going, "You should maybe try the missionary position. She prefers it that way."
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Ryder. Just giving pointers. I'll go away now, but I'm never away. I'm always there.
I know you like the depth, but try out altering positions.
There is the potential spoiler that this is actually your mom. That yes. Sam is in fact your mother, which makes things even more creepy. So there is mention of the mother, the physical mother, like the actual body of the mother, being in stasis somewhere on the I can't remember the name of the
Hyperion.
The Hyperion. There you go. Thank you. So it's this strange sort of mother father AI illegal in your brain turning into Superman sort of thing. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's how it's executed, which is always the problem in any science fiction. I wanted to do last week. I wanted to do my next video on Tides of Numenera because there's so much crazy science fantasy in there. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was having a good idea and how to execute that idea so that it works. Because you could have all kinds of great ideas. It doesn't really matter unless the execution of those ideas are good and clear and work. So comparing, actually, this is a good comparison. We look at Andromeda and we look at Tides of Numenera. Both of them are trying to use a template from a successful franchise or a successful game. And, the execution is what matters, not necessarily the idea. The problem with the idea is you can't contradict previous ideas, especially in lore. So if you have a statement like, well, you can't have AI because it's illegal and everyone's going to put you in jail, how do you get around that? How do you know that no one's going to seek you out? How are you going to do that in private? They sort of explained that. So it is sort of lampshaded. It's still awkward, but the fact they had to go through that much effort just to do that is ridiculous. They could have done all sorts of different things. Sam did not have to be a sentient. It could have just been a program that runs and responds. Like it sounds like a program with no personality. I'm not sure why they gave Sam that robotic voice as opposed to a normal voice. I mean, it's freaking 21 or 2700 in the future. I mean, come on. Can we get a proper voice synthesizer? Can we get a Vina or something? Like, give me something that sounds like a person. So no, they got to sound like a synthesized robot. But I'm fully sentient, but I have no body. It's like, great. And there's blocks on him. And you have to find these keys throughout the galaxy. It doesn't make any sense. What is going to another part of a planet going to do to unlock a block on Sam? How does that make any sense?
I just love it how you just enter into a completely alien a completely alien cluster with completely alien technology. It's not based on the mass relay technology. It's going to be in a wildly different way. The Ket have been there for 80 years. And then we show up and within like 2 minutes, we understand most of the language and the computer code. And we're just like, okay.
I cannot understand that scene. This really pisses me off. I don't know why I had such a reaction to it. The 2 minutes where Archon or whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, Archon. Yeah.
He walks through into the vault. He sees a holographic projection. He raises his arm, and then he walks out like in like a petulant child sort of just. And all this time, there's this ominous music. There's nothing ominous happening. This is the worst. Well, not the worst. This is one of the worst things I've seen to reveal an antagonist in a game which you should have a very strong antagonist.
It reminds me of that scene from the first Spider-Man movie where he goes, "Go web, go, fly." just imagine the Archon doing all these hand gestures, going like, "What's he doing?"
It's so bizarre because we are told, at least from the Jaal trailer, that the Ket have been there for 80 years. They are not only are the Angorans technologically superior to most of the other species in the Helios cluster, but the Ket are even more superior, or even superior to them. So they know technology. They're very good at tech. They are dominating the battlefront, all the worlds. They're very good at fighting. They know what hand gestures are. They know what technology is, or to a point. Because they don't understand, and the alien technology is fine. But to look at a hologram and to say, "Oh, this guy's raising his arm. I think I'll do that." "Oh, nothing's happening. I'm going to get pissed off and walk off," or whatever the hell that expression was. It's just like, what? You couldn't have told us that in like 10 seconds? No, we have to spend 2 minutes of ominous music of the guy walking up, looking at this little flying doodad. The doodad makes a holographic image, and then he raises his arm. Compare that. Go on YouTube, do a search for all scenes with Saren Arcturus. The first 20 seconds we ever see of Saren is him shooting Nihilus in the head. We know exactly what he wants, or what kind of person.
You see his eyes light up as well, like when Sovereign takes control over him.
Yeah, it happens.
Things like that.
The next scene is him with the beacon. Talking to the Geth, blowing this place up. The next scene is him on Sovereign, where he gets pissed off that he finds out about Commander Shepard. And the next scene is at the council chambers, where they're trying to remove his Spectre status. Like, it's all that's almost 2 minutes. If you look at the time of that. So within the span of that time that you've added up of learning about Saren or seeing Saren on screen, we have this Halo boneheaded Teletubby angel. Like, it's so heavy-handed. It's like, yeah, he's evil. He's an angel. We get it. What's the point? Oh, he wants the Ark, or he wants the vault. Great. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Joel could have been like how Captain Anderson was with Saren. Joel could have been the introduction, kind of going like, "Look, I know what the Ket are. This is what they are like. We've got a history with them," and the fact that they're put in, like, I don't know how many hours later in the game, but he should have been that. Joel should have been that Captain Anderson for the Archon.
Apparently, Joel gets better. I mean, there's lots of things I've been reading. The game does get better. So Joel is one of the highlights, apparently, because the voice actor is very good. His story is connected to. Well, his story is intrinsic, because he's basically. I wouldn't say he's like a Quarian, but he his race or his species is being attacked by the Ket of his native homeland, so he wants to remove them. So it's kind of like you're helping his entire people out. So that's where they wanted to go with the story, as opposed to simply getting to Andromeda and all the conflicts that would arise and trying to find a homeland for humanity. So I think this is part and parcel of doing that. You have to help out this guy's species, and they'll say, "Oh, you're a good people. We're going to give you a planet," or whatever. So yeah, I think we can go through other news items, but I think that was most I wanted to cover. I can talk about arguing with biodrones on my channel, which is always fun, but those conversations don't really go anywhere. It's just them swearing at me. So let's see what any questions you guys have. We're going to call it a quick and dirty stream here. Is bad even cop? I don't think Mass Effect Andromeda is like Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I don't think so. I just think they used various good things from the games and slammed them together, and they just had crazy time and money to try and make something reasonable.
Someone's mentioning the genophage.
Oh, the genophage. Yeah, that was. Oh God. I made a video about that, but yeah, it's just ham-fisted. It's so bad.
Yeah, we're perfectly frozen, but our bodies are still metabolic. Wait, what? See,
Yeah,
that would have been an interesting dynamic. It said, you know, they should have said was is that our bodies were slowly adapting to the genophage. So rather than putting this into actual stasis, our bodies are still growing just at a very, very slow rate. So we would still be developing, you know?
well, it would have been even more interesting if they kept some Krogans alive during that time, and they were running experiments while they were like, they can get away with running experiments while everyone else was in stasis.
Oh yeah.
That would have been, and they lived entire 600 years on that, or had a tissue sample that was running, or something, anything that,
Yeah,
yeah,
like artificial wombs and all these other kind of things.
something like that. Just to do that, that would have been fine. But no, it was experimenting us on cryostasis. Two words meaning frozen and immoving. It's like no. Okay, the one question people were asking was, what do you think about Sarah being ugly compared to Scott? I talked about this before when I talked about when Ex Latalis compared the model of Ashley, and I talked about how you use very attractive people for 3D modeling because something is always going to be lost when you go from real life to 3D, and whatever's lost is still not good enough to be, you know, the uncanny valley kicks in or what have you, but you still want your animation rig to show off the proper emotion effectively. And you do, that's why people are beautiful. That's why when you look at attractive women, I mean, we're just talking about the face. Like look at Jack's face in Mass Effect 2. She has, I mean, it's almost picture perfect to Kim Kardashian because the full cheeks, the full lips, the full eyes, that everything is just chiseled. And the rest of her is crazy, but she has an immaculate, beautiful face. The same with Miranda. Well, Miranda is based off an actual person, and she's not perfect, but that's what's attractive about her. There's various things attractive about her, and there's various things not, and she's sort of a mix. But once you start with a model that is sort of generic or not too attractive, then you see the flaws a lot more when you translate to 3D. And it's not something you avoid, but if you're trying to have an attractive lead character, where most of your animations are focusing on that person, like facial animations, which are crazy. I mean, the scene where either of them are trying to interface with whatever Sam is doing, and they're just like, their mouths are wide open and their eyebrows are focused. It looks ridiculous. What emotion are they going through? Like, you don't know. Are they confused? Are they having fun? Are they? It's just strange. So you have to have a high fidelity to what's considered objectively attractive, and that you go back to an objective understanding of Greek aesthetics, body portions, facial portions, symmetry, proper distance between the eyes, the nose, all these things that why supermodels are supermodels, why people spend crazy amounts of money on cosmetics, why you can make an entire career out of being someone in fashion. So there are rules. I'm not saying they're understood rules, but people have made careers off these cosmetics that I don't know why they didn't do that. I mean, what was wrong with making Sarah an attractive lady? I'm not saying supermodel lady. I'm just meaning general attractiveness. Nothing was stopping that. And there's something up with her eyebrows. There's something up with her that big toothy lippy grin. It's
as well a bit too large as well now.
Yeah, it does look weird. It just
I know that was a feature on the model herself, but not to that degree.
And it's not the robotic eyes with the forehead that doesn't move. It's not that. It's something else there. So it's more than just, the eyes are too white. Maybe the shade. I thought about the shadows on certain light, because there's a lot of great lighting in Andromeda, and I don't think that reflects well on the models. Either they're using the wrong shader, or the whiteness of the eye and the reflections of the pupil aren't coming out properly. So it's very hard to tell. Either it's very hard to tell or it's very easy to tell that they don't look real. They don't look human. And I think the eyes really matter in that regard. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Someone said that Battlefield 1 uses, when you look at the reflections in the character's eyes, and there they use, I forgot what the technique is used, but obviously that's still frostbite, and obviously they just haven't used it here for whatever reason. Yeah. Not good, really, is it?
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Sorry if I was not paying attention while I was talking. I was a little busy thinking to myself. Anything you'd like to know or ask us, we'd be happy to jump into.
Well, I'm debating whether or not to actually get the game to review it, really, am I? So.
Oh, someone's got to just tell me about it, and I'll have a sit down.
So someone like me's got to take this big Mandingo deck.
You know what? I've been stressing myself out over games for years now. I bet someone else could probably do a better job, or be less jaded as I am.
Well, I've got a lot of tolerance for these kind of exploration games because when you put like 80 hours into one playthrough of Dragon Age Origins, so 70 hours of Inquisition, I think I'm capable of doing that. But I think it's just more or less the atrocious writing that I'm probably going to have problems with. The combat looks adequate. It's nothing to cry home about, but at least it's an elevation above Mass Effect 1.
I hope so.
In one regard, anyway. But yeah, the thing is, when I look at some of the level design, it still looks very basic. Like it's still based around the third-person shooter cover system. Wherever you go, and there's all like convenient placed pieces of cover, and enemies are still coming in with a wave system. I know that's very hard to do. Trying to make an organic environment or even a place, really. But that just goes into showing that BioWare doesn't really understand how shooters operate and things like that. Combat just isn't about mobility. It's about the environment itself and how you can use the environment to exploit your abilities, really. Which is why Thea, back in the heyday, was so good, was because it made you a little place. And then the AI would then manipulate that place very well. The AI wasn't particularly smart. It just knew how to operate the environment. Whereas this just seems like whack-a-mole. Like we haven't advanced at all in that sense.
Well, they actually have AI in those other games. I can't see the difference between this and, I guess, well, the different character types or different enemy types in Mass Effect 3. I mean, I was watching some multiplayer. It looks like the Ket have like this assuming control scenario where they had one of the normal grunts turn into a big flying powerful grunt.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I saw that, and I actually cut it off out of the latest video I did where the the duck Krogan was popping around. Yeah, so it is going to be very similar to Mass Effect 2 in that regard, which is always a bad thing, a bad idea.
Well, they even got the dogs, like, which are pretty much just like Varen 2.0, aren't they? But the cloak. Ooh.
Oh my God, what an amazing idea.
Yeah. It's like, why can't these things be like what's the word now, biomechanical or something like this? Like they could have gone for the option, like say, I can repeat myself, that really alien look. I don't mean like aliens in the Xenomorph, although ripping off H.R. Geiger would actually be a blessing in this sense. But like make them look actually really alien. Like look at some of the early concept art for like what the Protheans look like, or even the Rachni's development.
Look at was it Sam Rhodes? I can't remember the original artist. We have a link to his blog where he posted all this Mass Effect stuff.
Looks amazing.
It's amazing. Not only is it really good, like this guy's a talented artist, but he did caricatures of Tali, and they were alien. Like one of them, okay, she had long hair, wasn't very alien, but the other ones were like, yes, that is a very alien Quarian looking girl, and I thought that would have been perfect if you had an alien that looks alien. Wow, what a great idea. So yeah, I thought that would have been perfect for Tali. Well, anything would have been better than clip art or whatever. The stock photo they bought. Yeah, that was pathetic.
I still want it. I know I can't repeat myself. I still want it to be like Rex.
Everyone loves Rex. I know.
Or even worse, it'd be like Jacob.
Jacob. Sam, is that his name? Sam Rhodes.
Something like that. I remember seeing these art for the Reaper drones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole post of just everything. He just jumped.
Yeah.
He did a crossover between, not a crossover. He did the armor for Mass Effect 3 into Dragon Age Inquisition, and it looked like all this little detail on the arm, on the red arm side of Shepard. Really nice. I'm sorry I don't have the link, but actually I posted it to you in Skype. If you just scroll up, I'll just do that. You can go ahead and take a question. I'll go look for it because that's a really good link.
Okay. So I found that one of PB running with the thermal eclipse.
Oh,
I love that one. That's great. All right then. If there's any questions, I'm not sure if I'm capable of answering right now. I'm too busy giggling to myself like a little girl. What will the day one patch actually fix? Not the animations. That's what they've confirmed. Curious what they decided to do on patch. Apparently, this isn't confirmed. In fact, it's going to be approximately, at least one person said, 2.3 gigabytes.
sorry. His name is Matt Rhodes, not Sam Rhodes.
At least you're in the Rhodes area.
Yeah. So many names. I can't remember these things. But yeah, that specific post is just amazing. Like this guy, I don't know if I don't know if he worked for Mass Effect Andromeda, but like the designs of the Geth, for EDI, just amazing stuff. Even Dragon Age Inquisition he worked on. It just like there's a funny story where he talks about how he drew a picture of Meryl and Meryl looks badass, and the writers were like, "No, what are you doing? We don't want that. We want her to be, delicate and scared and it's like timid." It's like, "Oh, sorry." And different strokes, but I think his design was absolutely amazing. But
wasn't that when they were doing the thing whereby Shepard was always going to become like a mirror of Saren, where like him being infused with the Reaper tech or something?
Oh yeah, that was like Mass Effect 2 days.
Yeah,
that not Mass Effect 3. I don't think he showed any pictures of Mass Effect 2 though. Is there anything I like about Andromeda? Well, you know what? The gameplay does look fun, especially the multiplayer. I think the levels are gorgeous. They look amazing. Like you can tell the trees look amazing, the vistas look amazing, the skybox, the car does look like fun. Like I'm not going to lie, it looks like a fun game. So if you want to pick it up and play, have a great multiplayer experience, you're going to have fun. Like I'm not here to bash it for the sake of bashing it. We're here to analyze what is in front of your face. And if you can see a good thing, you can see a bad thing, it's all the same. You're evaluating it. We just happen to see a lot of the flaws right now because we've just been inundated with people going nuts the past 3 weeks. So it's going to keep going up, obviously, as people play it. But yeah, never sell an artist short or a studio short. This is not games are for fun. Games are for storytelling. Games are for all kinds of things. And there is definitely value to be had amidst all these quirky, weird things that pull you out of the story. So for immersion, I don't know if you're going to get the same experience as you would in the first game, but you're going to have at least some fun. There's going to be some characters you like. Of course, there are going to be some characters you like. These writers aren't that. They're not all bad, okay? Or they're not. They're not just like playing with crayons in the dark in their basements. They actually know how to write. There are definitely some lines of dialogue which you just don't get. I certainly don't get. So yeah, it's not going to be a gigantic shit show, which a lot of people think it is. But there are definitely going to be moments where you're like, Oh God, this is like it's going to make you groan. So I just don't care. Okay, I have lots of other games to play. I have lots of other books to read, lots of movies to see. I'm not going to be shy or without entertainment, so I'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think when like I was saying that I was about to do this long-winded post on this guy who was, I won't say defending it, he was just trying to get a bit unbiased view, but I was saying that if this was like any other developer, let's say the people who made, was it Technomancer, from the Mars series?
Right.
I was like, we would give this game a lot more slack as well because it's a new upcoming studio. They're going to have issues, but this is BioWare, and obviously we're expecting some quirks with BioWare. Not everything's going to be up to some standards and whatnot. Because after all, they aren't AAA as much as they want to be. They'll never ever be that way. But I guess it's when people like pray themselves to some kind of like ungodly standard, like it's a paragon of storytelling. It's like, no, it's not. It really isn't. And when you elevate the game up to that level, you're asking yourself just to get something to get knocked down. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think what's very important is the intent or the premise of the product that they're going to make. If they can execute the scope of their product or their project well, then to me that's a successful product, whether or not you didn't like the graphics or the dialogue or whatever. For what we know, this is a template for all the best elements, at least I think they wanted to do, of the games. Whether I think they're the best elements or not is irrelevant, and putting them all together. So you will have a car driving scene because it was fun and they made it more fun. Does that make sense of exploring a new galaxy? Absolutely not. It's actually pretty stupid. But if it's fun and it's a game, then they've achieved their goal, right? So yeah, things like that I will always harp on because it's sort of failing at the premise. Like why are we going there? Why aren't we using spaceships and spaceships? What's this weird AI in my brain? Yeah, that's a fair critique. But it is nitpicking, and you may have a good experience. It's totally. I mean, I've been making all these videos because there's really nothing to say aside from just how ridiculous they look. And I'm sure not everyone's going to have the same experience, and some are going to have even worse experiences. But there are going to be patches. They won't fix everything. So don't feel ashamed for buying something and actually enjoying it. It's okay.
There's plenty of things that I've like. I'm gonna admit to liking. What's that movie now that came out in 2011? Battle Los Angeles. It's U.S. Marine Corps the recruitment video, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it elevates the U.S. Marine Corps into like some kind of godly status. It's really quite funny. But I like the movie because I found something I like, and with Dragon Age Inquisition, I found the whole Elven God aspect of Dawn of the Fade a lot more interesting, a lot more intriguing. Obviously, I wish they went down that route, as it were. And I think with Andromeda, with the whole history of the Andromeda Initiative as well, because obviously there's going to be secrets and other things as well. But I just think that they're just not going to focus on what is just the naturally interesting part of it all. Like they're just kind of like laying the foundations in the most awkward, haphazard way. So maybe the DLC will be interesting. I'm not too sure.
It depends if they can. I've said this on a previous stream, not with you, but last week. If Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer was a free standalone thing, I think that would have been, and it was free to play, or free to, what is it, pay to play or whatever, the pay to win microtransactions. I think that's the way to go. Because that was like its own thing, its own gameplay mechanic in the third game. It was very popular. And if you're going to have microtransactions, the main game should be free. That's just how the business model is nowadays. And if you're not doing that at least, then you're not going to be very successful. It's very hard to package that with a single player campaign, which is trying to be a multiplayer game or trying to be an MMO, which is pretty much what Dragon Age Inquisition was. So, and I don't know how effective Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer was. I don't think it was very good.
I tried it for like 10 minutes and was just like, nah, this is garbage.
Yeah. So the marketplace isn't quite there for melee fantasy MMO style or 4-person Is it a battle arena? What do you call that?
It's basically it's a 4-player co-op dungeon crawler, pretty much. And there have been games out there like Warhammer Vermintide that have done that brilliantly, but that's because they've just managed to focus on that one aspect all the time. They didn't have to have any other dealings. But this one, it just kind of feels like, you're just a dwarf, a mage, a guy with a bow and arrow, and you're just plotting through. And at least with ME Mass Effects multiplayer, it's a little bit more, there's a lot more. I think they got something like, was it 25 available types of classes?
Yeah, 25 based on your species and your, whether it's the major six, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the 25th would be. If
maybe
maybe only certain species can't be certain classes. It's possible.
Yeah, because I know they obviously like humans are probably going to be your baseline, but yeah, because
right,
yeah, well, yeah, but the thing about when he did the whole like packs and that kind of thing, that seems a bit double dipping. It's a bit. You shouldn't really be doing that.
Well, getting all the first getting all those European YouTubers, 5 European YouTubers to go in space camp is, I don't know what the frickin' hell that was the point of that. Then to get all kinds of YouTubers, not just them, but all kinds, like just dozens and dozens of YouTubers throughout the world to go down to their offices in Europe and the States and wherever to go have a free dinner and then to play the game for a few hours and then to hang out. I mean, they are pulling out the stops for this. Who knows how much it was $40 million to make the game. You have to imagine how big the marketing budget is to do that kind of crap.
Yeah, marketing budget is like 3 times larger.
Like think about doing things where you send people to space camp. What the hell does that have to do with marketing? What in God's blue earth? Who's going to look at that and go, oh wow, I bet we attracted like 50,000 people in 2 minutes? It's like, no.
But even then, all the stuff, but that space camp site is like, okay, you've sent some people to space camp. Okay, that's not unbiased at all. That's not going to influence their opinion. But then people are just going to look at the gameplay, which is actually the majority of what people actually look at. And they're going to be like, obviously, there's going to be some interesting aspects to some people, but for the most part, people are going to be like, what is this? So we don't actually know. I mean, a lot of people kind of hoping that BioWare will die, but I don't really know. It's like, should the entire company, because there are also some good people working at BioWare. Is it Austin, Texas is still a pretty good.
That's the Old Republic studio, I think.
Yeah, I know they're working on some good things. I mean, they managed to turn the Old Republic from the Titanic sinking into a salvageable thing. Funnily enough, though, it's just they shouldn't have gone down the MMO path personally, but that's just me. But they did manage to turn what was essentially a failing game around into something that was manageable and actually, in some cases, quite fun. A bit predictable, to be fair, but
the funny thing about that, the business model changed. They had to change it, or else it wouldn't be viable.
Yeah. So, no one was doing the subscriptions, were they?
Yeah, free to play, the same as I think WoW is free to play now, right?
Only up to level 20.
Really? They put a cap on that, and they have to start paying. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, basically, you've got like your free play mode. It's not like most games where you've got your subscription based, then you've got your one-time purchases or those kind of things, and then you've got your free to play scrubs, like how PlanetSide does it. They've got that free tiered way. The Old Republic does that as well, because I was a subscriber to that one for about 3 months. I got bored of it in the first month, and I gave it the rest to my mum. But yeah, but the thing is, with Old Republic, that went into free to play, like, was it 8 months after launch?
I think it was longer than that, wasn't it? Oh, no, you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I don't know.
It was in August, because it came out in January, I think. And but yeah, it was just completely the wrong. They were just doing the wrong thing of how, the idea of an intrinsic story goes completely against the idea of an MMO. At least that's how I'm just a very old school MMO person, upon whereby the story is your experience of what you've done in the land, not a predetermined story that you may have the occasional option bumping around into, but that's just me. Some people like stories and their MMOs for some reason, but yeah. What else are they trying to do now? Still wondering what this new IP is. Apparently, it's
The
going to be
not
a first.
the non-RPG IP. Yeah, great, brilliant idea there.
Is it going to have crouching in it, BioWare? Let's hope so. Let's hope we can crouch, you know.
Do you have helmets this time? Are they optional? Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing as well. When I was noticing with the whole people talking and whatnot, when you're talking with people in the regular conversation, it's like the animation's like kind of clipping, like it's resetting back into a previous. That there's no cycle. It's not fluid in how it works. You'll see people like kind of like they'll be swaying, and then it's go click reset, and there's other weird things like that. All those apparently, you know, they've been polishing the game for like, what was it? Mac Walter saying that, oh, we've been polishing the game for the past 8 months. It's like,
Oh yeah, sure. It needs
that.
another 2 years of polish, maybe.
Jeez, yeah. There's loads of just those little quirks that just kind of make you go like, they've been working on this game for 5 years. Who's been working on this? And I think that's what the journalists really need to start getting into now is who's been working on this? Who was working on it? Why were they working on it? What was the budgetary like on this thing? And because if not, then it's just going to be us throwing wild accusations and the journalists being like, no, BioWare's got feelings, you can't harm them. And we're going to have another shit show, really.
This is really a simple question of how much time and money are they putting on what?
Yeah.
And they probably can't go in. I mean, you can't go into the nitty gritties of answering that question because it's going to be like, well, this is kind of like how we built our project. And of course, there's all kinds of sob stories with that, with people losing their jobs and, changing people in charge. Like you go to the Glassdoor website, all kinds of people that were leads, got fed up or got fired, or they knew people who got hired. So, I mean, you can't really reveal that to the public saying, well, we changed hands about, 12 times in the past 3 years. Like, oh. And a lot of people like Manveer Air, that girl, they were on contract. So they don't care. They can fire you within your probationary period for no reason because that's part of an average contract. Yeah. So,
if you
don't perform, you're gone. If you don't do what you're told, you're gone. You're toast.
Yeah, I guess really though, I guess I'm sort of trying to come in the way of this. BioWare's like a microcosm of the gaming industry as a whole, in terms of the larger AAA, the shovelware and like the way of how like you said, they bring in people by contract, and that shows. Like when you've had this woman who's clearly inexperienced in the gaming industry, obviously she's just applied, and then EA's kind of gone like, right, we need X amount of people within this time frame, scoop you all in, and then we'll just shovel you out later on, and you can't really do that. At least you shouldn't really be doing that. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit too old.
There is a lot of graduates in animation school, especially from Vancouver, where it's world renowned. So they have a lot to choose from, especially in Montreal. People would rather live in Montreal than Edmonton, depending, of course, on how you consider Canadian winters. But Montreal is a beautiful, wonderful place to live, let alone work. So they had like the cream of the crop to choose from in Canada, at least. So I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, I think it's just whoever was doing the HR, where it must have been going to the lowest bidder or something. I don't really know, because I know when you've seen contract work, and they'll just pull in anyone because it's all based around a time industry. Obviously, if you search for the right people, you'll get the right people. But if they're kind of going, right, we've got 2 months to find, let's say 20 people, and you have to sort through, let's say 500 applicants, you're going to have a cutoff date. And I've seen that happen too many times. Like you'll see people who are really awesome at the job, but because they didn't hand the application in, let's say within that 2 first weeks, or even in some cases 3 days, they'll just get kicked out, so.
Oh yeah, they hire multiple HR firms or staffing agencies like headhunters to go through, so they don't have to deal with all those problems.
Yeah.
And they will then, negotiate between them, like the applicant and the firm, and then they go to the client. So it's a long process. And once they get someone who's a lot of people just want the right attitude, really. If you're the right guy, the right fit for the job, you're in. If it's like grunt work, like animating and modeling and coding, unless you're a specialist, they don't care. They will pick you up.
Yeah.
All right, guys, one more question, and then we're going to call it a because we're having a lazy time. We'll be rambling on for hours. So
We will.
that's it. Any last question? One last question. Give me a good question, guys, and we will do our best to.
No, you can't romance Drac.
Yes, that is true. You cannot ride the Krogan, as it were.
You can't have that quad slapping against your ass.
Yes, alas.
As much as we would want to.
The people lined up. I'm not going to buy this game. It doesn't have enough sex scenes for me.
Yeah.
I can't get at least more than 2 testicles against my body. I mean, like, okay.
Will they fire Mac Walters? Oh, that's talk about failing upwards, right?
Oh boy. No, I think he's his gold. They're the gold. He's the golden boy. I mean, he's the old guard. He's been there since the beginning.
He's like a
Did I?
tick. He's just buried in deep.
Did you play Shadowrun Dragonfall? Yes, I did. It's awesome.
Oh, I've
I
still got
love
that,
I
actually.
love Dragonfall. It's better than Hong Kong or the other stuff.
How would you
Water
feel?
is indeed ice. Thank you. Stop that.
I love that. We need
Yes,
ice.
Omni tools are tools. My God.
It's like we
Oh.
need ice. Is that because your face is tied because you don't have enough ice for it?
Oh. If you were at Bioware, would you have stopped the ending of Mass Effect 3 and the disaster? Um, it depends in what capacity. If I was at Bioware, if I was in charge, then yes, I would. But if I was a grunt, then I would just write my letter of resignation. I'd probably be a writer at that point if I were working there.
Our biotic's contagious. Who would you romance if you were forced to? I think that's in relation to MEA.
Oh,
Other than maybe a shotgun to the face.
Anyone who has good production values, let's just say.
Liam, put this helmet on.
Yeah, everyone, you can have sex, provided you wear your damn helmets.
Just put this brown paper bag over your head, please. I'm done.
How would you fix Mass Effect? I actually talked about that in my first video, or not my first video, but my video series about Mass Effect. There were lots of glaring problems, but those could be easily dismissed or just cut them out. There's lots of content in Mass Effect you can get rid of.
Who's your favorite character you've seen so far?
Oh, from Mass Effect Andromeda?
Yeah,
I think Jaal. I think Jaal is probably the best.
Apparently he's bisexual as well, so he goes anyway. So
I did see something by GameSpot. They just released the first part of their, what was that, an interview thing?
Oh, the making of.
Was it that? Yeah, and everyone just sort of
Something.
standing around. It was pretty nauseating. I didn't watch all of it.
Mike Gamble. Jeez. Oh yeah, there's a guy you can really trust, right?
He blocked me. I don't even know what the hell I wrote. We'll be reviewing Andromeda. I might. Give me a few weeks because I have other stuff to do.
After the nuclear dust has settled.
Yeah.
Just go in there, because that's what I feel about the production of Andromeda. If it does feel like they've just got like the conscript liquidators to like clean up the Chernobyl mess that the previous people have been working on. Because
yeah, people are talking about KOTOR 2. I think Kreia is the best female character in video gaming. I think if you want to talk about a female character and the relevance they are and how, philosophy and plot integrity and not being the main character, that is the best example I can see out of all of the female characters in gaming. I think she is above Ravel, I think, in term just for the sake of having a vagina. She is everything else that comes with having a good character and a story. That's the best. Kreia, yes, she had many layers to herself. She was angry and bitter and tired and all these things. I know.
That's kind of like you then, isn't it, with Mass Effect?
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
Mike Gamble got fat. Gamble got fat.
I'm not watching people's waistline. I'm sorry, I don't do that. I don't know how that works. If you were the head of Bioware, would you fire Mac Walters? I don't think it would be a matter of firing him. It would be sitting him down and showing him page after page of his comic book and just staring into his eyes and saying, "Can you read this aloud for me?" And I'll just stare him down until he realizes that I don't want him here anymore.
Just use his own words against him.
Yeah, that would be it. Yeah. If BioWare sincerely approached you on getting your perspective and improving the Mass Effect game, of course I would. I would definitely. I mean, anyone can come to me and ask my opinion on media. I'd be happy to explain it. The problem is because I'm so entrenched with Mass Effect, I'd have to like go over the games one more time. I'd have to read all the books. I'd have to painfully try not to hurt myself going through the comic books. Then I would go there and say, okay, give a presentation on.
Hey, you can do the coloring books.
The color, the color. Yeah, that won't hurt my brain. Yeah. Do you love cloaks? What? Cloaks?
I think, is that a thing that Mac Walters is like? Because
I thought he loves his communist hat. I always see him wear that communist hat. Well, at least in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Do you? Okay, what else? My face is tight. Yeah.
What happened to that's such an awkward line. Like, what happened to Pathfinder? It's like overdubbed.
Yeah, I can't take that. It's as if she knew what the program was, and it's very important that the program is. It's like, lady, you were on a space station for 1 year, and you didn't trust anyone else going on to the Tempest to go get for resources so that people could survive. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, it's like, I love that. We need to get you a ship. Wait, what? And there's a bit actually where if you do a comparison between like Normandy Reborn and the Tempest, it's so like Normandy Reborn is such like an elevating, like, oh, the music fits
The
in.
music. You know, when I heard that music of the Tempest, it sounded like it came out of Dragon Age Inquisition soundtrack.
Oh.
I was like, wait a second, that horn is from Inquisition or whatever It could have been like a water ship, you know. It's like, oh, it does run on water and ice.
Yeah, it's actually the Black Pearl.
No. Army.
We are such sailing for Andromeda. It's like got a sail and
It would have been cool. Actually, you know, it would have been cool if there were a lot of rejects from the Milky Way galaxy on this trip. I think that would have been cool. So yeah, I think that would have been interesting. But obviously, they went with generic NPC everyone. So
must realize instead of Anson.
I don't know if I can answer that. Do you get this achievement? No. What achievement? I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel I missed a previous question there. Matchmaker, complete romances with 3 different characters across.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh. Don't even want to think about that. That sounds bad. That sounds like you have problems. Like your gameplay is not shooting things, your gameplay is just flirting. And if that's the case, I think you're playing the wrong type of game.
Yeah, there's plenty of Japanese games that do that for you.
There's loads of dating sims out there, you'll love.
Well, the enemy DLC, well, considering the precedent that they've set with
I don't think there will be, no. I don't think there will be.
I hope not.
No.
Which Milky Way Neozoic team putting Milky
I think the characters in Mass Effect Andromeda they're going to do a sequel will be based completely on public reaction to them. I think BioWare is that sensitive that if you say anything bad, they're going to kick them out. At least this time around. Like they're not going to have like what look what happened to Jacob. Everyone hated Jacob, so they just ruined him even more. Like, oh, he's a stereotype. Let's go with that. We'll just keep going.
And his wife's more interested in you. Okay, he's right there, you know. He's the poor lad's right there. I mean, I feel sorry for Jacob at that
You're
point.
pregnant with his daughter or son. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Whatever. That's not important right now. Shepherd, hello.
How would I continue Shepard's story? He would have to be part of the background. The problem is not the Shepard story. The problem is the synthesis ending. That screws up everything.
He's in like carbonite.
Yeah, it just ruins everything. I mean, you can get away with the other two endings, but the synthesis you cannot get away from. It wouldn't just be, oh, your skin is now glowing green. Everything would be glowing green. It would be just bizarre.
Veteran actually seems like an okay character, at least, you know. He's kind of like
Yeah,
the opposite of,
yeah, it's pandering. Yeah,
yeah. But at least, like, whereas Garrus is that kind of, you know, rigid, she's kind of seemed like the opposite. But, you know, they could have done a lot worse. I guess that's the kind of thing that I'm coming in from.
You know what I would have really liked? People are shouting Borg Collective. Look, play Alpha Centauri. Play some of the factions. There's a faction that is very much like the Borg Collective. And if when you arrived in Andromeda and the faction, there were factions on your ship, and they changed the mission so that when they all separated, they separated for a reason, and you had to fight or argue or whatever with these other factions because they were diametrically opposed to you or whatever. That would have been awesome. But you know, human conflict. Oh, let's just shoot each other. What was your idea of Jacob cheating on you? I don't know because I never played with him. Since he cheats on you, it's just I really don't get it why they did that. I was sitting on a beach for like a few months and okay, whatever. Whereas Miranda was like agonizing over seeing you every day because she was so in love with you and she didn't know what to do. Like, oh, I would have imagined Miranda would have probably tried to break in because she has those skills to actually. That's part of her character. If you see some of her character art, she's a genius. She can do all kinds of things. So that would have been a really cool. I think that was one of the remakes. The remake ideas. A bunch of friends and I were about to release a remake story with video on Mass Effect 3, and one of them was you break out Shepard in prison because he was, he got imprisoned at the end of Mass Effect 2 for doing all those crazy things like blowing up a solar system and being a part of Cerberus. So, and we were really interested in that too. We spent a lot of time, but we realized that hey, we can't go too far with this. We can't just keep going and going because it's not our IP. So. And we have all the documentation and everything. We were actually going to make a game, like a small little game where it's like an RTS. We had all these ships, and we were getting into it. We're like, wait a second, we got to stop and think about this for a second. So we just stopped it and did our own thing. But we were really into it for about 3 months. Yeah, that would have been really cool. I think starting the game off with a breaking someone out of prison and then having an Elcor defense attorney. I think I did that in my second game too. the Mass Effect 2 remake. I thought that was rather clever. I think a Elcor defense attorney would have been awesome. Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. No, I have other things to do. Really, original ideas I like better. Anyway, we've been rambling for no reason, even though I said we were going to go.
Yeah, we were going to go like, what, an hour ago? We're like old men, like Abe Simpson. Like, you see, back in 2007, when we had an onion tied to a belt and tin foil on our head.
Yeah, those were the days. Oh. Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Special thanks to Exlatalis. I don't know what the hell you're doing, man. This massive channel coming to check me out.
Yeah, you must be really bored.
Yeah, what? Like I can't take that.
What happened? What did you do? Were you exiled?
Is there something wrong with your life that you just had to take a break from the monotony that was this new game coming out? Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in this week. We appreciate it, and well, have fun this week. If some of you are. If not, and you still are getting the game, good luck, Godspeed.
Prepare the nuclear bunker.
Yeah, just hide in your room for whatever storm may come. And have a good one, guys.
Liz.